Hi people, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you are having a great day filled with lots of love and happiness, and that you are being treated as the king or queen like you deserve to be. First, I just want to say a huge thank you for the response that you gave me on my first video. I was gonna say last, but I meant my very first video. It was beyond my expectations, and I am so truly grateful, and it's given me so much more energy and motivation to continue doing this, and I really hope that these videos might help you a little bit. So in the spirit of Valentine's Day, I thought it'd be appropriate to speak about love and relationships. On a day like this, where the focus usually is around couples and romantic love, I thought it'd be important to also point out why it's so important for you to love yourself. There's loads of different types of love, and we are lucky enough to be living in an era where we've gone through a revolution for the sake of love, which means that you get to choose to love who you want and give your love to who you want to. Unfortunately, this is not a one-size-fits-all mentality across the globe, but I'm 100% sure that we're on the right path. So some of the things that I want to touch upon will be what is love, how love makes us act, healthy and unhealthy relationships, and also how you can learn how to love yourself. So many are arguing that love is the strongest, most intense force known to humans. I was watching this TED talk with this French philosopher and author called YanDell'Aglio, and he speaks of love as, like I said, the most intense force known to humans. And he also talks about how we have shifted from the organic love that we know from poetry and from films into a more materialistic kind of thinking. Dell'Aglio argues that in this era of technology, we tend to rely more on something he refers to as seduction capital, which basically is your appearance, like wearing designer, having a nice car, big house, and all these things you flaunt in order to attract the mate that you want. And this reminded me of this viral picture that I saw on Facebook, where it was a picture of an old couple, and it said, like, when asked how they managed to keep their relationship for 65 years, the woman, she replied that they come from a time where they would, instead of throwing something away when it was broke, they would try to fix it. I don't know the source for this, I tried to look it up, but the point is still valid, and it definitely gives you some food for thought. I came across this article on a website called leadingwithtrust.com, where they basically look into this attitude, and they argue that this is an attitude that we used to have on our items and technology, and how he has shifted towards how we behave in relationships, and how we basically, instead of trying to sit down and talk about our feelings and sort things out between us, we tend to shy away and let go. Instead of trying to fix it, we jump from one relationship to another without truly going deep into what it could have been and manifesting the potential of that relationship. So this leads me back to Dell'Aglio, and he argues that tenderness is something that plays a massive role in relationships and how to preserve relationships, because it teaches you how to overlook flaws in your partner. Hellen, who is a neuroscientist and expert on love and relationships, she has conducted loads of experiments throughout her career, and she has also done experiments through Match.com, which is a dating site. She argues that love is the most addictive substance known to humans, and she compares it to a high of cocaine. And she says that at least with cocaine you will have a come down and it's out of your system, but with love it doesn't work quite the same, because when you break up or get hurt you will have a heartache, and this will basically trigger something in your brain that will make you crave this person even more. She continues arguing, saying that this is purely a biological matter and that love and heartache activity has been found in the area of your brain that is linked to your reward system, which is associated with craving, wanting, focus, and motivation. She then proceeds to say that love is the most addictive and powerful sensation known to humans and that nearly no one comes out alive. Her studies indicating that up to 95% of her contestants came out with a heartbreak. She then shares a quote of philosopher Plato that pretty neatly describes just what she says, is that the God of love is found in the state of need. So what is love for me? Well, I have ideas and thoughts of what I think it should be like, and I have felt love in every form. I've loved pets, friends, family, my parents, and I've also felt romantic love to a partner. I've also felt heartache, but I wouldn't want it in any other way because this has taught me very important lessons about myself, about relationships, and about how I would like things to be for me in the future. When I was 14, I had my first love. It was a very naive and innocent love, but love nonetheless, and I didn't realize that this was love until later on in life, because at first I was thinking like, surely someone this young and immature and inexperienced can't experience true love, which is quite ignorant of me. And my first love was also my first heartache. It really shaped me and made me realize what I want in a relationship, also what I should not be doing and should not be giving out. But as I grew and matured, my perception on love and relationship also grew and matured with me. I definitely do crave love. I've always been a sucker for it, and also I'm always been hopeless romantic. So this has made me into a person that would just give everything. When I was in a relationship, I would give my all. I forgot to look after myself and give me my all at the same time. A lesson that I've learned is that being in a relationship where you just give up on who you are and just give everything to the person, you will end up the loser. This meant that when everything was over, I had to reinvent myself and I had to figure out who I am outside of a relationship as a single person. In a different scenario, in a relationship later on in life, we dragged it out so long that we started to get feelings of resentment. But the thing is that both of us were too afraid to mention or say anything because we didn't want to hurt the other person. By doing so, we nearly lost like a friendship as well, which I valued a lot, and I didn't want that to be the case. This reminds me of a quote by Nina Simone that I wish that I knew back then, and it's that you gotta learn to leave the table when love is no longer being served. So this brings me to self-love. All this experience had left me angry and empty. All I knew was that I did not want to go through that again. I learned that the greatest thing you can ever learn is to love yourself, and that loving yourself is essential in order for you to love others. Self-love is also a great pheromone because it makes you attract the right people. When you are vibrating on a certain level, it will attract people vibrating on that same level. Self-love just shows confidence and, happiness. But remember also that this doesn't mean that you will only attract the right people, because many people will come along and that basically have a bad energy, but that just sees this amazing energy you're projecting and just wants to eat from it. But here is where your common sense comes in, or your gut feeling, and you should use this to filter out the people that are bad for you and the people that are good for you. This takes time. You just have to practice, learn by your experiences, learn from other people's experiences, see what your parents were doing, see what your family, like your friends, read about people and relationships energies and positive and negative relationships. So here it's also important to know the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships. Easy ways to do this is to identify the signs. Just to make it a bit easier for you, I've decided to make a little list. This is obviously my list and my opinions of what I think is a healthy and unhealthy relationship. Unhealthy love makes you feel completely powerless. It's selfish and enabling, it has no boundaries, and it's immature, and it does not take responsibility. It's highly dependent, and usually there is a sense of desperation that leads to manipulation and loss of the self. Healthy love, on the other side, it's a choice. You decide freely who you want to give this love to. It has conditions, it makes you feel powerful and independent. It requires responsibilities such as transparency, openness, communication. Communication is key. Don't be afraid to bring things up in relationships. If you're gonna assume that your partner should know how you're feeling, you're never gonna get anywhere. Don't be so proud. Say sorry, even if it wasn't your fault. Just hug and kiss more. And also something that's really and truly important, this does apply for everything in your life really, but constant reflection. Reflect. It builds trust and promotes growth. Healthy love is really rare to find, so make sure that when you do recognize it and when it is in your life, work on it so that you can keep it and maintain it and make it grow and grow together. And remember that you don't have to be dependent on each other. Like I said, healthy love is independent and unhealthy love is highly dependent. You want to be a whole human being, a whole person. So by you being dependent or a person being dependent on you, that's never gonna happen. And for me personally, I would like to be a whole person. I need to be whole on my own, not being filled by someone else. One of my favorite poets, a Canadian poet, Rupi Kaur, she describes this so beautifully, and I'm gonna have to look at my notes because this is not worth any mistakes. But she says that, I do not want to have you to fill the empty parts of me. I want to be full on my own. I want to feel so complete I could light a whole city, and then I want you. Because the two of us combined could set it on fire. And internalize this and just be an amazing human on your own terms though. So this leads me to heartache. When you as a person are whole, it doesn't mean that you are immune to heartache, but it does mean that you will be able to manage and get through it in a much healthier way. You can then rationalize it, weigh up the good and the bad, and you can remind yourself to remove your graduation goggles, which essentially is like beer goggles if you want, that works as a smoke screen to your past, and you start to think about your past relationship and your partner in a more idealistic way. Imam Al-Shafi'I, who is a theologist and author, he said something that I have been using as a mantra for many years, not only in love but in life. And that is that my heart is at ease knowing that what was meant for me will never miss me, and that misses me was never meant for me. There is no right or wrong way to fix a broken heart. Time is always going to be the best medicine. And if you know someone going through heartache, give them time. Don't measure their grieving time after your standards. People need different times. Having someone there that can hug you instead of telling you move on is gonna help you a lot more. Psychologist and author Winch, he says that when we experience heartbreak, we go through intense emotions and we tend to start thinking and reminiscing about this person and relationship in a more idealistic way. We tend to remember all the good parts, such as like the smile, laughter, cabin trips, looking at the stars together, the sex, and what he simply says for you to do in order to get over this and to also stop yourself from maybe doing something stupid is to make a list on your phone. So this brings me to the end. Now I want to give you a few steps, 3 to be specific, in how to build healthy relationships with yourself and with others. 1. Know your worth. Try to explore what you think you're worth. Most likely you have an idea already, but you probably have never really explored this. And try to look back at your past relationships and behaviors, because actions do speak louder than words. A way to explore this is by starting stripping down your self-image. Start rethinking about what you want and start removing mental blocks that most likely are making you feel and stay in the low self-esteem. By doing this, you will start to see a shift in the people attracted to you. You will start to feel a shift in how you act and how you carry yourself. Basically, the people that are surrounded you is a reflection of what you think of yourself. 2. Know what you want and also know what you don't want. This is gonna make the filtering process a hell lot easier, and it's also gonna make the manifestation of your desires a lot easier. Knowing the type of partner you want to be with, whether he's funny, honest, adventurous, also knowing how you want him to make you feel, but also knowing what you don't want in a partner. These things essentially make the list of your perfect partner. So you should be rooted in positive self-love and self-worth, and you should never settle for anything less than this list. There will be people coming along your way that will match this list almost to a T, but this does not mean that you should settle. This is basically tests that the universe is sending along your way to see if you're ready. And if you do fail the test, don't beat yourself up for it, because end of the day, we're all just humans, and all these lessons are necessary for you to be ready for that person. 3. Be ready to receive with open arms. This is so important. Me as a natural people pleaser, and I'm saying natural because being a people pleaser is not a natural state, but is rather a conditioning. But it's so hard for me to receive anything. But the thing is that when you do this, you might be hurting the person on the giving end. There is this thing called 5 love languages. You can do a test and it will basically give you a list of what your love languages are. 5 languages that they list are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And when you do this test, it asks you loads of questions, and it basically gives you a scale of which one you communicate the best with. So for me, acts of service is on the top, which is kind of contradictory. And the thing is that by you not accepting and receiving, you might be hurting the other person's self-esteem in their relationship, because that person's way of communicating love might be just that. Because remember that being a strong person is also knowing when not to show off your strength all the time. Like I spoke of in my last video about brainwashing yourself, what I mean is simply to reprogram yourself and changing your belief system into thinking what it should and should not be picking up, what information is important. Because our brains are essentially massive filtering machines, and we receive informations all the time, all day, every day. So our brain is already programmed in thinking what information it's important to pick up and what is not. So by brainwashing yourself, you simply change what your brain deems as important information. Changing your brain or your thought process takes time, but the best way to start is by starting right away, and by starting with simple affirmations such as I am worthy of love. Because by believing something, you will attract energy that confirms this affirmation. And if you don't think that you are worth, you will attract poisonous people that are only there to push you down and steal your energy. To finish this off, I want to share a quote by Indian guru OSHO, and he says that authentic love is freedom. It respects privacy and individuality, and it doesn't ask for anything. Thank you so much for staying and watching this video. I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Again, thank you so much for the support you have shown, and I do hope that this might have given you some insight. So, on this fine Valentine's evening, I hope that you enjoy your night. If you're celebrating it with a loved one or with yourself, put a candle on, put some incense on, have a bath, do a face mask, anything to make you feel better and elevate your energy. And yeah, have a good night, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!